Good morning everyone. Today we are going to study biology. In the previous class we already discussed about the mode of nutrition in plants and animals. We already discussed about the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means the process of the plants make their food, prepare their food. In photosynthesis we already discussed about chlorophyll is a main substance participates in the photosynthesis. We already know that in some plants lack of chlorophyll. Some plants they do not contain chlorophyll. How the plants are prepare their food? For that there are some other mode of nutrition are there. Other mode of nutrition. Mainly the first one is parasitic. Parasitic mode of nutrition. The parasitic mode of nutrition means the organism depends other organism for their food and nutrients, their food and shelter, etc. In the case of parasitic mode of nutrition, the organism depends other organism for food, shelter, etc. Mainly, the plants which grow on another plant, the another plant is called a host. In which plant the other plant is climbing on another plant, that plant is called as a host. Then in the case of parasitic mode of nutrition, there are two types. Then partial parasite, partial and total. Partial means the organism depends another organism only for shelter. They prepare their own food. The organism depends other organism only for their shelter. They prepare their own food. But in the case of total parasite, the organism depend other organism both food and shelter. In the case of parasitic mode of nutrition, the organism depend other organism for food and shelter. There are two types of parasitic mode of nutrition are there, partial and total. In the case of partial, the organism depend other organism only for shelter. They prepare their own food itself. Then, in the case of total parasitic mode of nutrition, the organism depend other organism for both food and shelter. These all are about parasitic mode of nutrition. Second example for the parasitic mode of nutrition is Cuscuta. Cuscuta is one type of parasite. Then second one is saprophyte. Saprophytic means the organism obtain the nutrients from dead and decaying matter. The organism obtain the nutrients from dead and decaying matter. That such a type of nutritions are called as saprophytic nutrition. The plants, the organism which follow the saprophytic nutritions are called, such plants are called saprophytes. The organism which follow the saprophytic nutritions are called saprophytes. Mainly the saprophytic nutritions are present in the non-green plants. So, the saprophytic nutrition means the organism obtain their nutrients from dead and decaying matter. Then the organism which follow the plants which follow the organism which follow the saprophytic mode of nutrition are called, such plants are called, organisms are called saprophytes. Mainly the saprophytic mode of nutrition is present in the non-green plants. Example for saprophytic nutrition are mushrooms, certain type of fungi and bacteria. These are the example for saprophytic mode of nutrition. Then next one is insectivorous plant. insectivorous plant. Insectivorous plant, we already studied that one in the lower classes. Insectivorous plants mean the plants which eat insects. The plants which eat insects. In the case of insectivorous plants, the plants get nutrients partially from atmosphere and soil and partially from insect. They get nutrients from partially from atmosphere and soil, then partially from insects. The example for insectivorous plants are pitcher plant. Pitcher plant and Venus flytrap. Insectivorous plants means the plants eat insects. In the case of insectivorous plants, they get nutrients from both partially from atmosphere and soil and partially from insects. These are all about other kind of nutritions. Then, have you seen the farmers are put fertilizers and manures in certain times in the paddy fields or their crops? Do you know why they put manures and fertilizers in the field? So, we already know that the plants absorb nutrients from the soil for better growth. We already know that plant absorb, with the help of root, the plants absorb water and minerals from the soil. But in the case of nitrogen, the plants do not get this nitrogen from soil. This nitrogen is rich in the atmosphere. Nitrogen is rich in atmosphere. It is a gaseous form. Gas. Nitrogen is rich in atmosphere in the gaseous form. This plant do not have the capacity to absorb the gaseous nitrogen from the atmosphere. So that in the fertilizers, the fertilizers and manure contain rich amount of nitrogen, and it helps to enrich the fertility of soil. So that the farmers are put fertilizers or manures in the field. In the case of nitrogen, the nitrogen is making proteins. Helps to make proteins. Proteins are very important in the growth of a plant. In the case of nitrogen, we already discussed that nitrogen is present in the atmosphere in the gaseous form. The plant do not have the capacity to absorb the gaseous nitrogen from the atmosphere. So that during rainy season, at the time of raining, the atmospheric nitrogen get into the soil. It's going to the time of raining, the atmospheric nitrogen is going to the soil. This soil contain nitrogen content. This nitrogen is take one type of bacteria, that is rhizobium. Rhizobium bacteria has the capacity to convert the gaseous nitrogen into the soluble form. Rhizobium bacteria has the capacity to convert gaseous nitrogen into the soluble form. This is called a nitrogen fixing bacteria. Rhizobium is a nitrogen fixing bacteria. The capacity, what is the function of rhizobium? The rhizobium helps to convert the atmospheric nitrogen into the soluble form. If the nitrogen is contained present in the soluble form, the plant's root can easily absorb the nitrogen for the better growth. These are all about the nutrition in plants. But so in the case of rhizobium, there is another point is there. The rhizobium in the pea plants and moong dal plants, in the root contain the certain types of bulging areas. In that bulging areas, the rhizobium is least. So this plant give the shelter to the rhizobium. The plants give shelter to rhizobium. The rhizobium helps in the conversion of gaseous nitrogen into soluble form. If the nitrogen is in the soluble form, the plants easily absorb the nitrogen for the better growth. These are all about the nutrition in plant. So we already discussed in the case of nutrition in plant, there are two types of nutritions are there, autotrophic and heterotrophic, and other mode of nutrition is parasitic, saprophytic, and in the case of insectivorous plants, they get partially from atmosphere and partially from insects. Okay, these are all about nutrition in plants. Thank you.